One of the most profound teachings that the Buddha gave was the teaching on impermanence. Impermanence is not an idea or a concept, but it is reality. Everything that we encounter is ever-changing. It's very fluid. On a molecular level, it's constantly changing. On a gross level, we can see that people change. Everything that we come into contact with, our senses, our eyes, ears, everything changes. Our thoughts change very, very rapidly. Theoretically, I'm not even the same person that I was yesterday or just a few moments ago. I have changed. This concept can seem a little bit gloomy at first when we hear that, because it deals with life and death. Everything that is born is on its way to the opposite end, which is death. Whatever is born dies. That's a big part of changing. And when we as humans hear that, we can conceptualize it and create gloom and doom out of it if we like. But in reality, the concept and the understanding at the deepest level of impermanence can be very liberating. And it can actually free us from most of the suffering that we have in this life. We suffer on so many different levels. We are going to have ups and downs. Even as an enlightened being, we would still have these moments where things aren't going the way we'd like them to. But it's the discovery and the insights of such things primarily as impermanence that frees us from wrapping our mind around it and creating negative mind states that are virtually unnecessary in our lives. 2,500 years ago, the Buddha started teaching. One of his first teachings was on the Four Noble Truths, the fact that we do suffer, and that the suffering that we have is due to us desiring, our greed, and the things that we desire are all impermanent. If we could desire things and they were not impermanent, we'd have every right to desire them. Can you imagine if we had an item, one single item that we found very, very pleasing, that made us very happy by just holding it and looking at it? And if it made us happy every time we did that, how valuable that item would be. It would be like a miracle drug. To have that item and look at it and conjure up the positive state of mind that it had, that it can do for us each time. It would be a miracle. What if we had an item such as that would cause everybody to have this joyful mind state and have this wonderful feeling inside of them every time they looked at it and held it in their hand? Everybody in the world would have that item. I don't care if it was a hot dog or a rock. Whatever that item was, everybody would want one. Everybody would have it. And it's just not going to happen. Every time we look at a thing or touch a thing, it has changed. And our opinion of it has changed as well. Everything is so impermanent, so fluid. We can find something and just treasure it. Just think it's the most wonderful thing one moment. The next moment we'll look at it and go, yeah, that's nice. We might look at it again and go, yeah, it's okay. What's the big deal? And then we look at it again thinking, well, I got to do something with this. We end up putting it in a drawer, and that thing that we once cherished after we're dead and gone, somebody goes through our drawers, our grandchildren maybe, and they find that thing and they go, what is this? And they go, oh, it looks like nothing that is any value, and they throw it away. It's just a wild example of how things change. The things that we cherish change, and our opinion of them change. So the things that we strive for and go after and work so hard for in our lives do change. And that change is what we have to remember. That's the impermanence. It deals with relationships, places, and things, ideas, all of that. That's the second part of the Four Noble Truths. The third part of the Four Noble Truths is that the suffering that we have through this desire that can be eradicated through the practice, our practice of particularly the Eightfold Path is what Buddha laid out for us, and that involves our spiritual practice, most definitely meditation, concentration and mindfulness, meditation practice. And through the meditation practice, what we normally practice in the Theravada tradition particularly is, and others as well, is Vipassana meditation, which is has a lot to do with insight. Insight, Vipassana, means clear seeing. Clear seeing means seeing into the deep nature of reality, into such things as impermanence. Impermanence is one of the first things that the mind comes across, because we are generally asked to focus on an object to perfect our concentration or to better our concentration, and that object is generally the breath, something very simple, something very basic. We start concentrating on the breath, we feel the breath as it comes into the body, and feel it as it leaves the body. We look at the breath, is it long, is it short? We might count the breaths up to 10 and then back down to 1. Many different things to do with the breath. We might feel the breath at the tip of the nose, in the sinuses, in the back of the throat, or even in the windpipe near the heart chakra perhaps, or the rising and falling on the abdomen. But one thing we eventually discover is that the breath comes in and it comes out. It comes in and leaves. And what that means is that it's impermanent. It arises and it falls. We see that in the heart. The heart beats and it beats again. Beats, beats, pumping blood, one beat after another. We see the impermanence in the breathing, in our heartbeat, on very, very subtle levels. We see it in the passing of the hours, the passing of the days, the weeks, the months, the seasons, and the years, and then the lifetimes. We are born, we age, we normally get sick, and then we die. That's our lifespan. That's what, in a nutshell, that's what our life amounts to. That's not, again, not gloom and doom, but it's just a teaching of impermanence. So we can still desire things. That's usually the first question that comes up. What's wrong with desiring? Don't we desire don't we have the desire to be desireless? Or don't we have the desire to use the restroom from time to time? Or to nourish the body, to keep the body healthy, to have a joyful life, to have nice shelter, nice clothes, comfortable life. We can have all these desires. The key is to remember that everything that we desire, including ourselves, is impermanent. It's simply impermanent, non-lasting. And when we remember that, that is the key to the liberation that is really our birthright. The trouble is we forget that. Anytime that we have a good fulfilling time, a good moment in our lives, we can enjoy it, but we should just remember that it is impermanent. It's as impermanent as the joy that we had in that dream last night or the night before. We have this joyfulness when we're sleeping, dreaming. We wake up, remember the dream and how joyful it was. But we understand that it's impermanent. It was just a dream. There's no difference between the joy that we've had yesterday and that dream that we had yesterday, or that sorrow that we had yesterday and the sorrow that we had in that dream yesterday. They're both the same. So the key, and my suggestion, is meditate daily, and don't forget the characteristic of impermanence. Everything is impermanent.